Here we go again. Here's the obligatory, holy shit, I'm really doing one of these videos again. Not in the bad sense, like, gotta make one of these worst YouTuber lists again. If I felt that way, I would have stopped making these videos years ago. But more so just, wow, this year really flew by. Which in some sense is a good thing, because this year for me was fucking horrible. But you're not here to listen to me vent, you're here to listen to me talk about who I consider to be the 10 worst YouTubers of 2024. Now, I won't keep this too long-winded, but for anyone watching this video who has not seen my other worst YouTubers lists, I like to pick people who have done actually horrible things. I don't pick people just for making cringy content, quote-unquote, because, in my opinion, that would just be boring. And this list is purely my opinion, so if you're like, why didn't this YouTuber make the cut? Why didn't that YouTuber make the cut? And you want to whine about that in the comment section, that is just going to fall on deaf ears, and to that I just say, make your own fucking list then. And also for these lists, I like to go in ascending order from 1 to 10 as opposed to 10 to 1. Why? I don't know, I just like doing that. I guess it differentiates these lists from other list videos on YouTube. It doesn't really make much of a difference, though. I always do save the most egregious person for last, and speaking of egregious, hoo boy do I have a list for you this year. I have some obvious picks in here, but I also have some pretty obscure picks. One, to not make the list too obvious, and two, some of these people did really, really fucking awful things. So instead of just continuing to hype the list up, why don't I just get into the list, which is what I'm going to do right now. Here are what I consider to be the 10 worst YouTubers of 2024. If you've never heard of this channel, well, I don't really blame you, as it's a pretty obscure channel within a relatively niche community. And what community did this channel reside in? Well, the picture on the screen didn't make it obvious enough. The train enthusiast community, or the rail fan community, as I've also seen it called. And back in April, Z-Unit 06, or Capital City Rail Productions, which is also what he went by on YouTube, uploaded what he self-proclaimed was the most insane video he ever took. The video shows a train derailing off onto the wrong track and colliding into a coal cart. All the while the teen recording the video was like, oh my freaking god, obviously all giddy that he caught such a thing on film. But he didn't just happen to catch this on film. By sheer coincidence, he actually caused this derailment. When investigators arrived onto the scene, Z-Unit was still there, and when he approached the investigators, they told him that the cause was undetermined. That's when he excitedly replied, obviously a switch was flipped, and happily showed them the video he took of the train derailing. Which is already pretty suspicious that this seemingly random teen knew exactly what happened. But hey, he was a train enthusiast, so obviously he was well versed in how trains operate, and what could possibly go wrong when a train veers off onto the wrong track. The smoking gun was surveillance footage of the teen driving up to the scene moments before the derailment happened, and setting up a tripod to film the tracks and get that perfect angle of this train veering off onto the wrong track. So presumably he did this because he wanted to film this insane video capturing this insane event happening so he could get an insane amount of views. Which worked for a while. His video got over 400,000 views until it was confirmed that he was the one who derailed the train and YouTube terminated his account. Wah, wah, wah. Over $350,000 worth of damage was caused, and thankfully no one was hurt, no one got killed, but even still, there are many ways this could have gone so much worse. And it was all because some fuckhead teenager wanted views online. He is going to be tried as an adult, and to that I say, good, throw the book at him, and let this be an example to all of these other stupid clout chasers who want to risk harming or even killing other people for the sake of getting clicks online. Even though I know a lesson won't be learned because this just keeps fucking happening. It seems like every year when I do these lists, there is at least one fucking idiot causing harm or even causing death because they wanted to do some stupid stunt that could get them viral online. Well, how's that working out for you, Z-Unit 06? You derailed this train, all for the sake of YouTube views, and now your life is derailed before the age of 18. So clever, I know. I guess it goes to show that there's idiot clout sharks in every community, because I always thought of the rail fan community as just a chill community comprised of people who just want to film trains or whatever the fuck else they do. As an aside, I have autism, and it is such a stereotype that people with autism have a special interest in trains, but me personally, I never really understood the fascination. I've seen some of these railfan videos, and they're really just videos of trains moving on tracks or filming trains while they're idle, and I'm not knocking the community. If that's the videos you like creating, Godspeed, keep making them. But trains are something I've never really understood the fascination of, nor have I ever really found these videos to be particularly interesting. I mean, trains are cool, I guess. I live in NYC, so I've ridden the subway quite a few times in my life, and I've even taken Amtrak like once or twice in my life. I know, autistic people are not a monolith, and I'm not saying every train enthusiast online has autism, but I'm just saying, as an autistic person, it's always been pretty frustrating when neurotypical people almost immediately assume you have a fascination with trains, because that is one of the go-to stereotypes of autism, and I'm like, no, I've never given a shit about trains. But whatever, let's move on. Okay, look, there are a lot of things that have happened this year that you could dogpile on MrBeast for, and if I were to cover all of those things, this would probably be an hour-long segment at the very least. However, MrBeast is just one pick out of 9 other people in this video, so I'd rather not meander on too long about one person here. First, I'll brush up on the class action lawsuit MrBeast is the center of. Participants of his Beast Games competition show that was filmed during the summer alleged that they were faced with, quote, unreasonable, unsafe, and unlawful employment conditions, unquote. From Newsweek, these participants claimed that they were deprived of medical care, food, sleep, and the necessities of basic hygiene. The filing claims that production staff created a toxic work environment and women experienced sexual harassment. One woman who participated in the show recounts, I expected to be challenged, but I didn't think I would be treated like nothing, less than nothing, and as one of the women, I can say it absolutely felt like a hostile environment for us. We honestly could not have been respected less, as people, much less employees, if we tried. Here's another quote. Participants entered into contracts, and they were promised compensation for their services. Their expectation of compensation, along with them being consistently under the control and supervision of the production staff, makes them employees under California law. As such, they were entitled to and denied certain protections. And when you add to that the extreme neglect, degradation, harassment, and inhumane conditions, it's quite simply a massive dereliction of duty, for which the defendants must and will now be held accountable. Wholesome, nice guy MrBeast facilitates hostile work environments that routinely degrades its staff, especially if they're women. Please do go on about how great of a person MrBeast is. Next is the Lunchly controversy. Lunchly is a frozen lunch marketed towards children and is branded as supposedly the healthier alternative to Lunchables. Or is it healthier? Well, registered dietitian nutritionist Leah O'Laditon found that Lunchly has a very high sodium count. She said, like most processed foods, Lunchly meals provide over 20% of the recommended daily salt intake in just one serving. Obviously, high sodium intake can lead to high blood pressure later on down the line, along with other health complications that could arise. O'Laditon also states that Lunchly is high in saturated fat, which raises your cholesterol levels and leads to cardiovascular disease, possibly. And MrBeast, alongside KSI and Logan Paul, other fuckheads who are big with the kids currently, have no problem feeding kids slop under the guise of you're actually eating healthier by eating Lunchly. And not to mention, since you have all of these cool YouTubers that are big with the kids associated with the Lunchly brand, kids are naturally going to gravitate towards Lunchly as opposed to Lunchables and other frozen meals. Not to say Lunchables is also very healthy for you. But you have these YouTubers who have massive influence over impressionable children, duping them all for profit. And I'm sure you have kids making fun of other kids in the cafeteria for still eating Lunchables and not the MrBeast approved product. It creates peer pressure to hop on over to the cooler brand, quote unquote, that also prides itself in supposedly being a healthier alternative, when it is really not, and of course these kids are none the wiser. There are even several instances of people finding mold on the cheese included in this meal. So obviously not much of a shit is given when it comes to inspecting these meals before they ship out. All in all, the drama surrounding MrBeast these last several months has been extremely vindicating because I got so fucking sick of people acting like this guy is such a wholesome, nice guy, one of the nicest guys on YouTube because he does philanthropy, when in reality those philanthropy videos were made to boost his own image first and foremost, and that should be crystal clear now. MrBeast is a narcissist who is obsessed with his self-image because obviously a positive self-image is conducive to the brand he was building up. MrBeast doesn't care about anything beyond making a profit off of his videos and his numerous brands and schemes that prey upon impressionable children, and I'm glad people are finally wisening up because for me, for a long time, MrBeast seemed like one of the fakest fucking people on this platform, yet so many people wanted to convince you otherwise. Can you stop being deceived by these fake nice guy assholes, for the love of fucking God? And speaking of fake nice guy assholes, show of hands, how many of you saw this one coming? Yeah, I'm sure all of you. Boogie2988 is a regular when it comes to these lists, because he's just an all-around piece of shit. I've said it before, but his downfall has never ceased to amaze me. He went from one of the most beloved YouTubers, seen as one of the nicest guys on this website, to being a gigantic laughingstock. A gigantic laughingstock who also has no problem scamming the 3 genuine fans he has left. Back in June, Boogie unveiled the Fatty coin, Fatty with 2 D's. Get it, Fat Daddy? He deleted the video where he promoted it, but I remember it being some unfunny Andrew Tate-esque bit, and throughout the whole duration of the video you saw his girlfriend, who he met when she was barely legal and he was almost 50, prancing around in her underwear in the background. CoffeeZilla, a YouTuber known for exposing crypto scams, noticed that a day after Boogie uploaded his video, on June 28th, the coin already lost 90% of its value, meaning the coin was nothing more than a pump and dump scheme. Shortly after, Boogie apologized and was like, I thought no one would take this coin seriously. He knew exactly what he was doing. He knew the very, very, very few people who actually still support him must be gullible as shit, so he decided to exploit that. But honestly, if that was the worst thing he did this year, then he probably wouldn't even be on this list, because I'm like, if you're stupid enough to invest in a crypto coin that's associated with Boogie of all people, then you must be dumb as fucking shit and you deserve to lose your money. It's even more pathetic than those who invested in the Hoktwa coin. At least you could say Hoktwa is currently a relevant meme. Boogie has been a has-been on this site and has been seen as nothing more than a lolcow for 5 years now at least? In 2022, Boogie made a video revealing that he supposedly has polycythemia vera, a rare form of cancer in which the body produces too many red blood cells. He's used the cancer several times as a ploy for sympathy because, Boogie is just addicted to feeling like a victim, and has also used it as a means to justify his shitty and stupid actions. For example, when talking to CoffeeZilla about his pump and dump scheme, he claimed any money he made off of the coin would be going towards his cancer treatment. So see, this coin wasn't just a scam. If you invested in it, you would have been investing in a noble cause. You would have been helping a sick man fight against his cancer. Well, if that was the case, why not just make a fucking GoFundMe then? But turns out Boogie doesn't really have cancer. In July of this year, political streamer Destiny crashed his LolCow Live podcast and confronted him about lying about having cancer. Destiny states that Boogie has claimed in the past to take hormones, namely he has undergone testosterone replacement therapy. Hormones from an external source are a common cause of secondary polycythemia, the non-cancer variety of polycythemia. What was also suspicious about Boogie's supposed diagnosis is that Boogie has also stated that he is awaiting a biopsy to confirm his diagnosis, even though in the past he has claimed to already be diagnosed. So this should be rather easy to dispel for Boogie, right? Just simply show his diagnosis, of course block out any personal information relating to him or his doctor. But despite being offered literally thousands of dollars from his co-host Keemstar and guests such as Destiny and Mudahar just to simply show his diagnosis, Boogie for the rest of the podcast refused to show his diagnosis, which to me is the smoking gun that he faked his diagnosis, because this guy has never been shy to swindle people out of money. He begged his fans for money when, like a fucking idiot, he blew all of his own money on crypto. He just had that pump and dump scheme, hoping to scam his last few remaining remaining fans out of thousands of dollars under the guise of "you're helping a man with cancer." But this is where he draws the line. He also says, "No, this is a bridge too far for me. This is too personal to share." Dude, your channel of over 3 million subscribers, formerly over 4 million, was built upon you sharing every facet of your personal life. You've shared every personal tragedy, every little detail that could give you even a smidge of sympathy out of your audience. If you really did have polycythemia vera, I have no doubt you would have gladly taken all of that money offered to you, shown your diagnosis, and on top of that, humiliate the guy who claimed that you faked your diagnosis. It was such an easy layup, but you couldn't take it because you lied and you know you lied. As if this fucker couldn't sink any lower. This infuriates me to no end because I'm sure you know by this point, I lost a grandmother to lung cancer back in 2020. She wasted away on a ventilator in the hospital for the last month of her life before her organs finally shut down. My mother's side of the family especially has a predisposition to cancer. A lot of family members on that side of the family have contracted cancer. Quite a few have even died from cancer. My mom could get cancer someday. My uncles could get cancer someday. And even I could get cancer someday. And it could very well be what kills them someday or what kills me someday. You would be hard-pressed to find someone who doesn't have a personal tragedy, whether regarding themselves and or a loved one, relating to cancer. And Boogie knows one of the ultimate ways to receive sympathy from people is to say that you have cancer. And he willingly exploited that. For the last nearly 2 years, he had no problem weaponizing his supposed cancer diagnosis whenever he would face backlash for his shitty and stupid behavior, scamming his audience and making them think they were helping a man with cancer, and just, flat out lying about having cancer in general. I mean this in the most sincere way possible. I do not give a fuck what happens to this man. If whatever heart he may have in his body ever decides to give out, I say good riddance. I don't fucking care. Cancer is an incredibly serious subject matter that has impacted countless people around the world, whether they themselves contracted cancer or they have a loved one that contracted cancer, and he decided to exploit the seriousness of cancer to scam his audience out of money and to milk sympathy out of them. Anyone who is willing to sink that low is a waste of fucking skin in my eyes. And Boogie swore up and down during that podcast, "I am done with the internet, I'm deleting my channel, I'm deleting my Twitter." His channel is still up, surprise, surprise. And he took his Twitter down for maybe like 3 days at most before reinstating it. And of course, since he's employed by Keemstar on his stupid podcast, Keemstar didn't fire him because Keemstar only cares about making money above all else. So Boogie still has all of his platforms that give him his fix of attention. And that should shock no one because Boogie is one of the most sad and pathetic people on the internet who feeds off of attention whether it's positive or negative. So of course he's never going to willingly give up his platforms. What a fucking pathetic life he leads. Dr. Disrespect is a video game streamer whose whole shtick is just act like a smug asshole in front of the camera, hence the name Dr. Disrespect, I suppose. He was big on Twitch initially until he inexplicably got banned off the platform back in 2020. Why did he get banned? The reason for that was unknown for nearly 4 years until a former Twitch employee, Cody Connors, tweeted this. He got banned because he got caught sexting a minor in the then existing Twitch Whispers product. He was trying to meet up with her at TwitchCon. The powers that be could read in plain text. Case closed, gang. While Dr. Disrespect wasn't mentioned by name in that tweet, obviously, everyone could kinda ascertain that it was Dr. Disrespect that was being discussed in that tweet. Because how many other prominent Twitch streamers are just banned out of the blue, and the reason for their ban is unknown for years? Naturally, this began a frenzy on social media. A lot of people didn't want to believe it, of course. And then a game studio called Midnight Society, that Dr. Disrespect himself helped found, stated that they reviewed these messages messages exchanged between Dr. Disrespect and this minor, and they concluded that they were bad enough to sever ties with him. Dr. Disrespect then came out with his own statement addressing the controversy, and I have to tell you, this is probably one of the worst statements regarding a controversy I've ever seen from a public figure. I'll read some of it. Most of the statement is filler, where he jacks his own ego off and is going like, yeah, you're not gonna get any filter from me, I'm a no bullshit type of guy. So let's only pay attention to the relevant parts, shall we? Were there Twitch whisper messages with an individual minor back in 2017? The answer is yes. Were there real intentions behind these messages? The answer is absolutely not. They were casual, mutual conversations that sometimes leaned too much in the direction of being inappropriate, but nothing more. Yeah, these inappropriate DM exchanges I had with a minor when I was in my 30s already, they only occasionally leaned a little too much in the inappropriate direction. That's all. Nothing illegal happened, no pictures were shared, no crimes were committed, I never even met the individual. For a lot of dumb fucks in his audience, that was the key takeaway. It's not like the minor sent him any nudes, that we know of at least, so why is everyone so upset? Maybe because a grown adult, by his own admission, had inappropriate DM exchanges with a minor? It doesn't matter if nothing technically illegal occurred, a grown man has no business having such conversations with a minor. Now, with all of this said, don't get it fucking mistaken, I've seen all the remarks and labels being thrown around so loosely. Social media is a destruction zone. I'm no predator or pedophile. Are you fucking kidding me? Anyone that truly knows me fucking knows where I stand on those things, and with those types of people. Fuck that. So like, what else do you want people to call you? Again, by your own fucking admission, you had inappropriate DM exchanges with a minor. And you were already a grown adult, well into your 30s, with a massive platform when this occurred. So on top of everything else, there was a clear imbalance of power. What else do you call that besides predatory? Okay, maybe you're not technically a pedophile, depending on how old the minor was. Actually, it's ephobophilia. I was talking to a teenager, not a little kid. Yeah, that makes me feel so much better. But speaking of the age of this minor, we actually don't even know how old this minor was when this transpired. We don't even know if it was even a girl he was talking to. We have no details about this minor, aside from the fact that they were indeed a minor when this transpired. But somehow Dr. Disrespect fans turned this into Dr. Disrespect is being cancelled by the woke mob because he was DMing a 17-year-old, someone who is on the cusp of being legal age. Or hell, is already considered legal age depending on where they resided. Okay, let's entertain this for a second. Let's say yes, he was DMing a 17-year-old. Again, we don't even know the age of this minor. For all we know, he was talking to a fucking 12-year-old. But anyway, there is still a considerable age gap between him and the minor, and a considerable gap in maturity as well. He was around 35 when he was talking to this person, and at age 17, you're usually about to finish high school. What does someone in their mid-30s have in common with someone who is still a fucking teenager? I don't care if they were even just a day shy of turning 18 when Dr. Disrespect started talking to them. I still find that creepy, not just on the basis of Dr. Disrespect abusing his large platform to have this inappropriate exchange with a minor, but also the clear-cut imbalance in maturity between the two. You're doing nothing by saying, well, what's the big deal if Dr. Disrespect was DMing a 17-year-old, who we don't even really know was 17 at the time? Besides just outing yourself as a fucking creep, or at the very least, someone with a very broken moral compass. Legality is not the basis of my morality. Like, for example, I still find it creepy if someone middle-aged is shacking it up with an 18-year-old. Yes, that's technically legal, but the legal standing of the situation has nothing to do with my moral hang-ups regarding it. Because what does, like, a 55-year-old man have in common with an 18-year-old girl, or vice versa, a 55-year-old woman have in common with an 18-year-old guy? Fucking nothing. But that's what Dr. Disrespect fans have resorted to. This minor, who we don't even really know the age of, was probably already on the cusp of reaching legal age when Dr. Disrespect began talking to them, so that makes this situation a-okay, and I'm still going to support him. And Dr. Disrespect is still chugging along. He made his grand return a few months after his horrendous statement, and his fan base welcomed him back with open arms. The broader internet still recognizes him as a creep, thankfully, but he still has his army of idiots who have likely had inappropriate interactions with minors themselves, or at the very least have questionable viewpoints when it comes to what is an appropriate interaction with a minor. Also, isn't it so ironic that the guy who screams, "Groomers need to leave the kids alone," whenever he sees an LGBT flag in a video game, gets outed for being a creep in a minor's DMs? I swear, it is always the people you least expect. It's almost like he was trying to get eyeballs off himself when it comes to adults being creepy around minors on the internet. Did you wonder why I didn't bring up the Ava Kris Tyson controversy during the MrBeast segment? Well, now you know. She has her own segment in this video. Ava was a mainstay on MrBeast's channel since pretty much its inception, up until earlier this year when many skeletons were dragged out of her closet. Many screenshots, primarily from Discord, showcasing Ava having inappropriate interactions with minors, or making very, very tasteless jokes involving minors, and she made these jokes to such a degree that you can't really write them off as just edgy, tasteless jokes that were products of the era of the internet they were written in, which a lot of these screenshots came from 2016, 2017, a much edgier era of the internet. Like, for example, here's a comment of hers from 4chan written back in 2017 that was dug up that says, "Why the fuck would you use your VR headset for anything other than..." Yeah, I think you'd understand why I wouldn't want to read the rest of that. And here's another comment of hers from around the same time, but this time on Reddit. This was in response to some meme that included a picture of a teenage boy and a teenage girl kissing, and it said something along the lines of, "Don't you wish you didn't miss out on teen love?" And here she is writing, "But you can still get teen love. 14-year-olds always stay 14. And those are only two out of many other examples of her cracking similar jokes, quote-unquote, that involved minors. There are even instances of her cracking these types of jokes in the presence of minors. Now look, I get edgy humor. I engaged in it a lot back then at around the same time. But even back then I had my limits. I remember a joke saying that was popular on the internet around this time that went something like, "If her age is on the clock, she's ready for the cock." I feel gross even just fucking saying that. And even back then I was like, well, what is really the joke behind that besides just referencing child sexual abuse with no punchline? I'm not saying you can't make jokes about dark subject matters such as that, but when there's no real point to the joke beyond just referencing something horrific like that, and on top of that you crack these jokes, quote-unquote, in such an excess amount, like Ava did, I'd have to call into question your motive behind these jokes and why child sexual abuse seems to always be at the forefront of your mind. Then there's her connections to Shadman, who she was close to enough to get personalized art from. Shadman was an artist who frequently drew NSFW art of underage characters, or even in some instances, real children. Like, for example, he once drew pornographic art of Keemstar's daughter back when she was around 7 or 8 years old. And that's a person who Ava had no issue palling around with, alongside many other content creators, unfortunately. So when you couple these jokes she frequently cracked, her inappropriate interactions with minors, and her connection to Shadman, yeah, it doesn't really look good for Ava. And this isn't even something you can say MrBeast himself was completely oblivious to. Ava was one of his closest friends for years, and I'm sure he still keeps in contact with her, even after publicly severing ties with her. She even hung art sent to her from Shadman in her room that was featured in the background of some old MrBeast videos. So he, at the very least, turned a blind eye to his friend that he frequently collaborated with in his videos, having sketchy interactions with minors, never wasting an opportunity to joke about minors getting molested or anything heinous of the sort, and has a connection to someone who not only drew porn of canonically underage fictional characters, but also drew porn of real children as well. All the while MrBeast has an audience of literally millions of children who watch every video he puts out. Once again, fuck this phony piece of shit and his nice guy persona that has been proven to be nothing more than an act, and fuck Ava Kris Tyson especially for her creepo behavior. Wilbur Soot is a Minecraft content creator, of course, and also a musician, part of an indie band called Lovejoy. Back in February, a Twitch streamer named Shubble, who he dated for a time, came out with allegations against him. Now, initially, she didn't call Wilbur out by name, but the internet was able to connect the dots fairly quickly, as it was another content creator she was calling out, and her and Wilbur did date publicly for a time. Now, what did Wilbur do to her? Well, repeatedly throughout their relationship, Wilbur would bite her, and I'm not talking about playful little love bites that at most might give you a hickey. No, these were full-on, aggressive chomps that would often leave bruises. Shubble explained that she expressed to him that he would often inflict pain above what she found tolerable. So then the two set up a safe word that she would utter whenever she would feel pain above her tolerance level. So far, this situation obviously isn't good, but if she explained to him that the biting got way too aggressive, she was still comfortable with him biting her so long as he didn't get too aggressive, and they both set up a safe word that she would utter whenever he would get too aggressive, and if he did get too aggressive, she uttered that safe word and he would immediately stop, I doubt this would be a controversy at all. But that is not what happened. She would use this safe word, and instead of just immediately stopping like he should have, he would instead grind his teeth even harder into her skin before releasing. Shubble said that an early red flag was him making doubly sure at the beginning of their relationship that she was okay with biting, because he didn't want her to come out later and claim that he abused her. She shrugged that off because she assumed he meant playful love biting that many couples oftentimes engage in, and not what I just described. It got to the point where her arms were covered in bruises from his extremely aggressive biting. She even felt pain from her bruises merely being touched, which he saw as an opportunity to, in her own words, poke at them for fun. And he wasn't even ashamed to show off her bruises to his friends and fellow content creators, and even make jokes at her expense, saying, "Oh, I abused her," not caring one iota that she was distressed over what he was doing, and he was gladly making light of that. And this wasn't just hearsay either. Wilbur himself came out and said, yes, this was indeed me that Shubble was talking about, and yes, I did do these things. He put out this pathetic statement on Twitter that reads more like, "I'm sorry you feel this way. That was in the past, and this is now, and I am now a better person," rather than a real and adequate apology where he addresses that he excessively and aggressively bit her and continued this behavior even after she expressed discomfort. And on top of that, make fun of her and chomp down on her even harder after she expressed discomfort. I'll read this little snippet from his statement. "The allegation of abuse, particularly in the form of biting, deeply shocked me. Throughout our relationship, I understood from our numerous conversations and text message exchanges on the subject that this behavior was consensual, playful, and reciprocally enjoyed. I truly believe those personal message exchanges reflect mutual affection and understanding." So what about you biting her even harder after she would tell you to cut it out, or poking at her bruises knowing that it would inflict pain, or making fun of the fact that she felt discomfort and pain and was covered in bruises with your stupid Minecraft buddies? No, all of that was just conveniently left out of your statement, and I've seen so many of your dumb fuck fans go like, "But he apologized. Why are people still giving him shit for this?" Because in his apology, quote unquote, he left out key details likely to make himself look better to his audience. He never addresses his ex by name, and his response is more just him posturing himself as supposedly a better person now, rather than actually addressing the wrongs he committed in the past. And a simple apology doesn't just automatically remedy any shitty behavior and actions you have engaged in the past either. Shubble has said that she doesn't accept his apology, and I don't blame her after what she had to endure. Wilbur has been MIA from the internet since this statement. Will he come back? I don't know, but I wouldn't be surprised if he eventually does. Especially since we've seen he has a whole bunch of idiot fans willing to look the other way because he put out a half-assed apology, quote-unquote, that the person the apology is directed towards doesn't even accept. But no, all is well and good now, totally. ImAllexx is a drama commentary YouTuber that I kinda watched back in the day when I cared about that community back in like 2017, 2018. He was in one of my previous worst YouTubers lists some years ago because he threw a fellow commentary YouTuber named Slazo under the bus. And here he is again, except this time he is here for a much more disgusting reason. Back in June, an ex-girlfriend of his named Alice dropped a huge Google Doc on him containing allegations of abuse. Also contained in the Google Doc were a myriad of screenshots of text convos where he would say to her and call her the most vile things, and it would be impossible to go over everything contained in this Google Doc in this short segment. Here are some of the highlights from the Google Doc, and a fair warning, if verbal abuse is a trigger for you, I recommend skipping over this section. The blue messages are Alice and the gray are Alex. Please fuck off, permanently. I'm annoying for saying I still want to see you. Oh my god, shut the fuck up. I said to forget this all and let me see you, after you said you hate me. I hate you genuinely. Stop. You set this up. Alex, what the fuck? You delusional bitch. Fuck off. I said thanks. I don't know what you're saying sorry to. You just make it up, but thanks. Go away, psycho. That happened. Stop being mean. Just stop. You're genuinely the craziest person I've ever met. I said thanks. Fuck off. I said thanks. Suck yourself? You're a difficult little bitch. You're a cunt. Maybe you should have shut your fucking mouth. Thanks for apologizing. No, I'm good. I don't mean it. Wicked. Didn't accept it. No. Okay, fuck off then. Die. You didn't let me talk. Die. Wow. Die. Die. Idiot. Talk. Talk. Yawn. You text like an R slur. Coming from the grown adult who texts like a fucking first grader, but anyway. So call me. You say everything wrong on text. I'll stop then. Because you're fucking stupid, so call me. Nope, I'm not. Yes. You clearly are. Bye. Bye. Fuck you. Weird fucking idiot. You win. Fuck you. Fuck you. Understand I didn't call 'cause you're insulting me. Fuck you. It's so easy to sit there like everyone else and cry about it being mean. Okay. When you're a jobless freak, imagine trying to teach R slurs like you and my mates how to do this. I have a job. It's fucking annoying. You don't. I'm contracted. I have a job. No, you don't, man. Cherry pick my words. I was saying whether I know you or not like it's a dream of mine. You know what I was ducking saying, idiot. Shut the fuck up. K. You know what I meant. Good night. So kill yourself, please. I'm going anyway, so come with me. I guess I don't care. You're a shit girlfriend. Genuinely bad at it. I meant in the sense of I'm doing this 100%, no stopping me. Emotional level of a fucking brick. Just say yes. You dumb whore. You're thick, man. You're a bad boyfriend calling me a bitch and insulting me every time you get slightly upset. Good night. And those are just a handful of the horrible screenshots contained in this document. And there's also some videos contained in this document. I'll showcase 2 short videos she shared, and I won't give any introduction besides these are absolutely disgusting, and I'll just let them speak for themselves.
Thing about you, and this is the thing, and this is why I fucking go round and round in circles. I join call, and when I'm getting, you're talking to me, going, this is the thing, even though now, when it's too fucking late, you admit that you did everything fucking wrong. But when it actually matters, when you should lay down like a good fucking dog, you don't fucking do it. You fight for some reason. I don't know why you fight, because you're losing, because you end up admitting that you fucked it all up anyway. So it's just fucking weird. And I know that you're going to end up admitting that you fucked it all up, which is why it's sorry first.
So I'm a fucking whore mouth bitch retard cunt.
Is it generally because you're just fucking brain dead?
Yeah, I'm very brain dead, yeah.
Is that why you decided to go on the fucking offensive instead of the maybe?
Offensive.
Okay. I don't know what to call what you did. It was weird. It's always weird. You always take this fucking weird route. Just do the normal route, which is just do the normal route, but a normal girlfriend
You're
would do.
acting like
I
this is
didn't
all
mean
just
it.
me, and that's something you really need to fucking fix.
I'm gonna fucking bash your fucking head against the wall with a brick if you don't shut the fuck up. Because this one, genuinely, this one, you fucked this, royally fucked this.
That first clip, dude, lie down like a good fucking dog. The reason I'm primarily just throwing screenshots and video clips at you in this segment is because What do you really say in response to this? Aside from the obvious, this is a deeply sick man who should not hold any platform on any website, let alone a YouTube channel with nearly 2 million subscribers. Here's another little tidbit she shared in her Google Doc. When they went on vacation together to Italy, that is when she confided to him that she is a sexual abuse survivor. Any partner worth a fuck would comfort their significant other upon learning such information. And what was this scumfuck's response to this? I'll read from the Google Doc. He tells me he doesn't want to know what has been done to me by other guys, and I ended up leaving into another room crying. He threatened to leave and get a flight back on his own, taking into account this was only my 3rd time abroad, and he knew that it would make me very upset and scared, like he knew I needed him to be there with me. And here is yet another screenshot she shared in the Google Doc, where he throws this right back at her in a Discord DM convo. Cause you're fucking weird, bringing up weird shit on our first holiday. Ruin every moment. I have no fond memories with you, actually none. So if for whatever reason you're ever this fuckface's partner, and you feel you trust him enough to confide in him about something deeply traumatic that happened to you, he'll just treat it as a mere inconvenience. What an utter disgrace of a human being. And when she finally split from him, he sent her these string of pathetic messages begging for her to come back, going like, please don't leave me, I don't know what I'd do without you, I'm sorry for how I treated you, I might just kill myself if I don't have you. Yes, you're only conveniently sorry about your horrendous treatment towards this woman when she's leaving you, and there's the looming threat of her doing exactly what she proceeded to do, putting out an extensive document detailing how horrible of a person you are. He even sent her voicemails, which in total are over 20 minutes long, so I'm not going to put them in this video, where he's sobbing, begging for her to come back, clear textbook manipulation. If she were to have ran back into his arms, he would have 1000% gone back to how he was treating her previously. Another ex named Ani came out and corroborated Alice's experience by saying Alex was very toxic during her relationship with him. He would constantly belittle her and make everything about himself, so needless to say, he's been like this for a long time. Alex has said nothing in response to these allegations over 6 months later, and has since completely disappeared from the internet. And I hope he never comes back, because I don't know how the fuck you could possibly come back and salvage a career after something like this comes out, where the evidence against you is just insurmountable. Anyway, fuck this snaggle-toothed weasel, and I don't mean weasel figuratively, just fucking look at him, he looks like a goddamn weasel. Let's move on. Oh boy, now we're at the really, really bad ones. If you have never heard of Puzu, he was a popular musician and YouTuber in Japan. So that might shed some light into why you've never heard of him unless you keep up with Japanese influencers, which I'm pretty sure makes up no one in my audience. I personally have not heard of him either until I came across this story on, I believe, Reddit. And when I first heard about this story, that's when I was like, oh yeah, this guy's a shoo-in for this list. On May 31st of this year, while his teenage girlfriend was asleep, and this guy is in his fucking 30s, by the way, so that in itself should already be a huge red flag. But Japanese culture is different. Yeah, okay, weirdo. Anyway, while she was asleep, he proceeded to stab the left side of her chest. His plan initially was to murder her and then take his own life. However, after stabbing her, he lost the nerve to take his own life, so instead he then called authorities for an ambulance and to report what he did. Upon entering the scene, first responders found the knife next to Puzu's bed, along with his girlfriend still in the bed, who lost a significant amount of blood by that point. But if there is any silver lining to this, his girlfriend did miraculously survive and her condition stabilized while she was in the hospital. Unfortunately, she's going to have to live with the trauma of something as horrendous as this happening to her. And when asked for a motive, Puzu just simply said, oh, it was an impulsive decision. So his girlfriend, who nearly lost her life, now has to go through surely lifelong trauma because I guess on one night he just felt like killing her and then himself. I think there was definitely something more going on with this guy, and this wasn't just a snap impulse decision he just randomly made one day. But anyway, internet psychologist bullshit aside, fuck this guy. If you wanted to take your own life so fucking badly, you should have just done it, and not involve an innocent person to take with you. It always infuriates me when I hear about stories like this, because it is the ultimate form of selfishness. Now, I am not calling the act of suicide itself a selfish act, but if you have such ideation, and on top of that, you want to take your significant other, or family member, what have you, with you, and I don't know, you feel entitlement to have them die alongside you, then yeah, I'm going to call you a prick, because they have likely never even indicated that they wanted such a thing to happen, and yet you feel you have the right to take their life because you want to take your own life. It's one thing to put your girlfriend through the pain of losing her boyfriend through suicide. It is a completely different thing of giving her the trauma of nearly losing her life at the hands of her boyfriend because her boyfriend wanted to take his own life, and also take her with him. I am glad this shitbag failed on both fronts. I am glad, of course, that his girlfriend survived, and I am also glad he has to face the consequences of his own actions. Ioka was an astrology influencer and musician who had a pretty obscure YouTube channel she uploaded music videos onto. When the solar eclipse back in April happened that I was just off the path of totality of, same thing with the 2017 eclipse, yeah, I'm totally not bitter about that at all. But anyway, back when the solar eclipse happened, well, actually, the night before the solar eclipse happened, at around 3:40 a.m., Ioka stabbed her boyfriend, Jalen Chaney, to death in their home, and then fled the scene in her SUV with her 2 children in the car. One child was 9 years old, and the other was only 8 months old. At around 4:30 a.m., while the SUV was still in motion, she threw both children out of the vehicle, and then she picked her SUV speed up to over 100 miles per hour before smashing into a tree and killing herself. The 9-year-old thankfully survived with only minor injuries, however the 8-month-old was pronounced dead at the scene. But there is no doubt that 9-year-old is going to be permanently scarred thanks to this incident and their piece of shit mother. Imagine losing your family this way at such a young age. I have no idea if the boyfriend Ioka killed was also the father of the 9-year-old, but even still, imagine witnessing your mother murder someone who I assume was at least a father figure, and then attempting to kill you and successfully killing your sibling via throwing you out of a moving vehicle, before ultimately killing herself. Imagine living with that kind of baggage at such a young age. I wish the 9-year-old the best of luck in life, because I couldn't imagine living through that horror at age 23, let alone 9 fucking years old. And also, fuck astrology. I know it wasn't the sole reason as to why this woman did what she did. Obviously, she had deeper issues than believing in astrology. But even still, it is pseudoscience crank bullshit that I am tired of hearing about, and people giving even an ounce of credence to. Maybe I'll make a whole video about why I hate astrology one of these days, because I know I could go on and on about the subjects and needlessly pad out this segment, but I won't do that. What I know you're interested in at the moment is how is this going to be topped? Who will be the worst YouTuber of 2024? Let's find out, shall we? To no one's surprise, I'm sure, someone incredibly obscure once again takes the top spot. So who is Justin Moan and what did he do? Justin ran a YouTube channel where he espoused right-wing conspiracy theories, and then back in January, he murdered his father, decapitated his father, and then proceeded to flash his father's severed head in a YouTube video. I watched the video in all its uncensored glory back when I first heard about this, and the reason he gave for murdering his father is because his father was a federal employee. And he has a bone to pick with the federal government, more specifically the Biden administration, for allowing migrants to invade this country, supposedly, allowing the woke mob to run rampant in this country. He specifically calls out BLM and Antifa, and he claims that his father will burn in hell for eternity for being a traitor to this country. He calls for the death of all federal workers, and then he says that he is the commander for America's national network of militias, or what he dubs as Moan's Militia. Perhaps kookiest of all, he claims that back in 2020 that his presidential bid was sabotaged and that he could have been the first unilaterally elected president since George Washington. So his father must have been a high-ranking government official, right? No, he was a maintenance worker employed by the federal government. He did maintenance work on dams and levees and such. Hardly work that I would call treacherous in my view. But I suppose, family or not, all federal workers are bastards in this guy's eyes, so I guess he gets a gold star for not exercising preferential treatment. Kidding aside, this man is obviously deeply unwell, and it's always hard to talk about these YouTubers who have done absolutely abominable things, because realistically, what could you really add to something like this? I guess I do have this to say, briefly. This story is merely an extreme microcosm of how divided this country has become. We have so many people in this country wrapped up in their conspiracy theories, their bigotries, and they all around live in a different version of reality. For the last 4 years, many of these people denied the results of a presidential election, all based on nothing besides our guy lost and we don't like that. And these people are so consumed by what they're fed by Fox News, or by any other right-wing news source, and I put news around a million quotes, or right-wing figureheads online feeding them bullshit, and the polarization is the point. They want regular people to be at odds with each other, so they won't correctly point the finger at the billionaire class who hoard all the wealth and make life worse for everyday people, so they can keep making a profit off the backs of the working class who they continually exploit. And I could go on about this forever, but I've made this argument in other videos before, and this video is already long enough. So with that said, congratulations, Justin Moan, you are my worst YouTuber of 2024. Whew, 50 minutes. Now, if you're a newcomer and have never seen my other worst YouTubers list, this might be where you think, oh, he's going to end the video now, isn't he? No, you thought wrong. There's one extra YouTuber I'd like to discuss in this video. Who are they? Well, I'll be courteous and not delay any further. They are ReviewTechUSA. This one really sucks because this was a YouTuber I watched on a regular basis for 10 years, from around spring or summer of 2013 to around the beginning of this year. There was a period of time where I wasn't watching him as much because I wasn't really playing video games all that much, because he was primarily a gaming news channel. But then the pandemic happened, I got really back into gaming, and so I started watching his videos again. But then Rich got into some drama with his former editor because Rich wanted to scale back how many videos were being uploaded onto his channel, because he got tired uploading multiple times a day onto the channel about gaming news he didn't care about anymore, which, alright, fair enough. I watched him for the gaming news. I didn't really care about the tech stuff he would occasionally upload onto his channel, but if he wanted to change the course of his channel, ultimately there's nothing I could do about that. It's his channel after all. But since Rich was scaling back how much content would be produced onto his channel, he felt like he didn't need the editor anymore, and so he fired the editor pretty abruptly. This led to disagreements regarding compensation between him and his editor, and honestly, I'm not the most well-versed on ReviewTechUSA drama, which is why I chose not to include him onto this list, because a lot of the drama surrounding him stems from his shitty 7-hour live streams where he's talking about DSP gaming in the year 2024. He eats so many edibles during these streams to the point where he's slurring his speech. There's a ton of dead air during these streams. And despite being a fan of his pre-recorded content for many years, I never liked his shitty-ass streams, so if that was going to be his main focus from here on out, then I'm not gonna watch. Simple as that. But outside of him not wanting to make the content I wanted to see from him anymore, which really isn't that much of a problem because, again, his channel, he can run it however he pleases. I followed his Twitter for a long time too, and he's always been an idiot when it came to handling trolls, to be frank, but it got really fucking bad this year especially. His Twitter became him arguing with trolls in his replies all day, and then at night he would proceed to do the same fucking thing in his streams with trolls in his chat from the snippets I've seen of his streams. He became the very embodiment of what he claimed to not be some years ago. I remember around 5 or 6 years ago he uploaded a video giving advice to other channels, and one of the main pieces of advice he gave to other creators was, don't feed the trolls. People going into your comment section solely to shit talk fuck you is unfortunately an inevitability, and the best thing to do is to not give them the attention they crave. My channel is a piss in the bucket, but I still get this all the time. I get comments saying, you suck, you're fucking stupid, you sound gay, you live in mommy's basement, and you want to know what I do every time I receive a comment like this? Nothing! Because why should I give a fuck about some rando on the internet leaving a negative comment solely with the intention of trying to get a rise out of me? And this was the rationale Rich at least claimed to have at some point, but clearly that's gone into the trash bin. Now he's just another Boogie2988. He can't for the life of him ignore the trolls he constantly attracts, not knowing he's only digging a deeper hole for himself and his reputation, but I still held out some hope that maybe, just maybe, this was a really bad slump that he'll eventually get out of. This was until he deleted his main channel that had over 1 million subscribers, over 6,000 videos I believe, and I also believe went back to 2009. He claims this was because he had no future plans for the channel wasn't lucrative for him anymore, even though he claimed he was making $600 worth of passive income on that channel, even without uploading anything onto it. And he also said for years he hasn't enjoyed making the videos he would upload onto that channel anymore, so nothing of value was lost. Over 15 years worth of internet history is lost. Videos that at least 1 million people were entertained by, enough to the point to click the little subscribe button, all disappeared in an instant, and thank God for archive channels, because otherwise 15 years worth of content would have been completely lost, and even then I don't know if every single video of his has been recovered. That just sealed the deal to me that he is content with being a lolcow from here on out, and hey, there are plenty of people out there who love watching a train wreck unfold. Me personally, yeah, I don't want anything to do with that. I might check in on him from time to time out of curiosity, but all in all, I'm just done with Rich. So that was the list. 55 minutes. I'll try not to make the intro too long-winded, but you know me and my tendency to ramble. As you probably know by this point, 2024 was an awful year for me, and I won't get into specifics, but a lot of tragedy, a lot of depression. I don't really have any high hopes that 2025 will be much better, but we'll see, I suppose. But one of the things I took solace in this year was uploading videos onto this channel. This channel is my main way of expressing myself, how I vent, and I am incredibly appreciative that for these last 10 fucking years, there is an audience of people watching these videos. I plan on continuing to go strong in 2025 and beyond, and I hope that everyone watching this video, or at least the ones that are returning viewers, continue to stick along for the ride. And here is also a preemptive thank you to all of those who participated in the premiere chat. Ever since I began premiering these worst YouTuber lists, I've had a lot of fun chatting with all of you in the premiere chat, and I have no doubt I'll have a lot of fun chatting with all of you once this video premieres as well. It's especially a lot of fun seeing your reactions to the obscure, heinous pics I save for the end of these lists, and watching you all go like, what? Holy shit. Love it. Anyway, here's to hopefully a good 2025, maybe. I don't have much hope, but hey, we don't know what the future holds. Regardless of what may happen in current events, maybe you'll have a personally happy 2025, and maybe that could be the case for me as well. I'd be happy with 2025 even just being halfway decent. This year's just set the bar so fucking low. Anyway, let me finally end this video because it is nearly an hour long now. Here's to 2025 being filled with YouTuber mishaps, because that means more fodder for next year's list. That's all I have to say. Bye-bye.